In substantial measure, the food crisis plaguing much of the South and the financial crisis of the North have common roots, namely the shift towards neoliberalism since the 1970s that brought to an end the post-war, post-Second World War Bretton Woods system that was instituted by the United States and Britain right after World War II. It had two architects, John Maynard Keynes, Britain, and Harry Dexter White in the United States, and they anticipated that its core principles, which included capital controls and regulated currencies, would lead to relatively balanced economic growth and would also free governments to institute the social democratic programs, welfare state programs, that had enormous public support around the world. And to a large extent, they were vindicated on both counts. In fact, many economists call the years that followed until the 1970s the Golden Age of Capitalism. That Golden Age led not only to unprecedented and relatively egalitarian growth, but also the introduction of welfare state measures. Keynes and White were perfectly well aware that free capital movement and speculation inhibit these options. Professional economics literature points out, it should be obvious, that the free flow of capital creates what they sometimes call a virtual senate of lenders and investors who carry out a moment-by-moment referendum on government policies. And if they find that they're irrational, meaning they help people instead of profits, then they vote against them by capital flight, by tax on the country, and so on.
In the 1950s in the United States, it was called the Golden Age of Capitalism. And there was a certain amount of output. So there was this much output per capita in the economy. And then 40 years later, there was double that. Almost exactly, just coincidentally, double the amount of output per capita. So if you think about it, you realize that if in 1995 people work half as long as they work in 1950, right? And from 1955, then the output per person will be the same as it was in the Golden Age of Capitalism. So you sort of ask yourself, well, why aren't we working 1 month on and 1 month off? Or why aren't we working a 3.5-hour week? After all, that technological innovation has created a condition in which we can do that, and we'd be as well off as in the Golden Age of Capitalism. So why don't we do it? And the answer is because markets don't let us. It's not that everybody got together and decided we'd rather work twice as long as we could. And in fact, people work longer than they worked in 1955. People didn't decide, I want to do that. I mean, even the rich lawyers didn't decide, I want to do that. Rather, market competition compels it, coerces it, because if you don't do it, you get out-competed. So there's this drive to accumulate, this drive to work ourselves to death, in essence. Now, it's also true that where'd the extra product go, right? Where'd the double the output go? Well, it partly goes to military stuff to protect the system. It partly goes to police stuff to protect the system. It partly goes to cleaning up the ecological messes that the system produces. And it partly goes to the rich. And so the normal person is marginally better off. And in fact, from 1970 to the present, the normal person doesn't get better off at all.